Stugotz here for Upside. Like I've been telling you for a while now, if you travel for business, stop wasting time pricing your flights and hotels at the same old sites you used to go to. The only site you need is Upside.com. It's quick and easy for Upside to show you the exact flights you're looking for and the big-name hotels you want to stay at. You can buy them separately or bundle them together. That's what I do. You could even add a ride. And by bundling 2 or more selections, you'll experience the real magic of using Upside. See, the more you bundle, the more you save. The bigger the gift card you receive to places like Amazon.com every time you buy a business travel package using Upside. And their expert navigators are always available 24/7 through phone, chat, social, and email to help anytime before, during, and after your business trip to make sure it goes smoothly. Upside's the real deal for buying your business trips. You got to give them a try. And right now, when you use promo code Dan, you are guaranteed to get at least a $100 Amazon.com gift card on your package purchase. That's code Dan to get a $100 gift card free. Upside.com, the better way to buy business travel. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
Football season is finally here, and DraftKings, the leader in one-week fantasy sports, is giving you a shot to be crowned the first ever fantasy football billionaire. Draft the perfect lineup this Sunday, and you can win $1 billion. Just use code HUDDLE to play in DraftKings' free contest with $100,000 in total guaranteed prizes this Sunday. And if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. It's free. Why wouldn't you try? DraftKings.com code HUDDLE. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
This is the worst of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Got a lot of college football to talk about. I hate that Paul Johnson was punished for being ballsy and that Butch Jones was rewarded for being a mathematical coward. Last night, if you're watching Tennessee, Georgia Tech in overtime, when no defense was being played whatsoever and the offenses were just going crazy at the end of the game, in overtime, Butch Jones went for the tie and tied the game. And then when Paul Johnson had his chance at the end of the second overtime, instead of tying the game, he went for 2 because his offense had been getting, every time they handed the ball off, that's the most yards Tennessee's defense has ever given up, running yards in a game. And they needed 2.5 yards at the end, and they could not get it. But I love that he tried.
They gave up 535 yards on the ground.
I don't have any idea how Georgia Tech lost that game, and I would find it maddening if I were a fan of Georgia Tech to still be using that primitive offense in 2017. I don't even know what the comparison point is.
Right.
Like, it's everyone's got iPads, and you're still using a fax machine. Like, your offense is still a fax machine.
Right. Georgia Tech always has that great option running game, huge yardage, and they always finish with 4 or 5 losses. Change it up.
They have Calvin Johnson, and still they don't do anything at Georgia Tech with Calvin Johnson.
The amazing thing is Calvin Johnson decided to go to Georgia Tech.
It was a different coach. But they were still running the option then, weren't they? I feel like Georgia Tech's been.
Gailey.
I feel like Chan Gailey offense. I feel like Georgia Tech's been running the option my entire life. But you can't hire Paul Johnson. You can't.
I was wondering the same thing. I think it has something to do with their really high academic standards that they just use the option to level the playing field because you can maybe beat anybody if they don't understand how to stop that because it's really hard to get players there.
But I just feel like in the age of technology in 2017, Georgia Tech is still out here trying to be an encyclopedia salesman. Right? It's like
going door to door,
and it works sometimes. Like they'll get 7 or 8 wins a season. Like they'll sell the occasional encyclopedia.
A couple of suckers out there.
But it's like you can't have that be your style in 2017. Like Georgia Tech's offense feels Amish.
Such a great description.
You know what I mean? Like, I would find it so maddening. It's like, why can't we use electricity? We can't use electricity on Saturdays. Why not?
It's such a great visual you just provided.
But I mean, they might as well go to the game in a carriage. Why not? Like, I mean, you're already doing the primitive thing. I feel like all the Georgia Tech players should walk great distances with food on their head.
The Amish put food on their head?
You know, I'm merging culturally stuff like we needing to walk across the desert and the lack of electricity. But before we get to all the fun college football this weekend, Guillermo's hot. All right, here's what we've got. Giancarlo Stanton has 53 homers, more than anyone in baseball. And Guillermo is a big Marlins fan here. And so he is Stant in, but Marl out.
I don't know if it's fair to say that just yet, Dan.
What?
There's still hope.
You're in on Stanton.
Yeah, duh.
You're out
obviously.
on the Marlins.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, you're out
6
on
games.
Jeter. You're out on Jeter.
Don't even mention his name around me. Him. That guy. He's a con man, right? We can agree on that. He's a con man. And overrated. If he played on the Pirates, he wouldn't have had the career he had. We can just say that.
Yep. You're right.
The guy, Dan, did you read what they were reporting over the weekend?
It was great.
No, it wasn't.
It's like Stugotz is running a baseball team.
It's insane. He's only putting in $25 million, which he's immediately going to get back because he's paying himself $5 million a year, and he's giving himself a company credit card to do whatever the hell he wants with.
It's Stugotz. Stugotz has been given a baseball team. He has made it so he's recouping his investment. He's negotiating with these powerful billionaires and saying, look, you put in all the money, I get all the power.
Right. I do it differently, though, because if my math is correct, it's going to take 5 years for Jeets to get paid back. I'd give myself $25 million per season.
Well, who knows what he's going to be doing with that credit card? He's going to be swiping up all kinds of charges, buying diapers for his new baby. Who knows what he's going to be doing with that? Yeah. It's insane. Right. And the guy that he partnered with doesn't have money. Like, they can't even afford to maintain the team that they have now. How about this, guys? If you can't afford to buy a baseball team, don't buy a baseball team. And this Loria just handed them the team because he wanted to get Derek Jeter's autograph, so he gave him a contract so he could sign it so he could get his autograph. It's so ridiculous. Manfred has to do something. Manfred, you're watching. Do something.
All right. Very good. You've been called out, Manfred.
Jeter's probably going to buy those pricey cloth diapers as well. You know, I never thought I would say this, but I can envision a situation where Marlins fans are like, you know, Loria really wasn't that bad.
I already miss him, and I hate him.
Yep.
It's crazy.
The Jeter thing is great, though, because I want you to imagine. I know that Jeter is cloaked in all this mythology, but I want you to imagine Stugotz is a great shortstop for the New York Yankees.
He doesn't even watch baseball, Dan. How's he going to run a team?
I know, but the whole thing is... Look, he was trying to get everybody involved because he just wanted into baseball because he knows what a money-making scam this whole thing is. You don't have to have a lot of money to make a lot of money being an owner of a sports team. Not in one of these three major sports with the TV contract.
Can he be a little more discreet about knowing that? Like, not tell everyone he knows it and tell them their plan?
I know.
God,
it's great.
I hate him.
I know. I've gathered. I just love, though, I love the idea of Jeter panhandling with his rich friends and going and getting a few $1 million from Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan's like, yeah, just get out of here. Here's a couple of $1 million. Just leave me alone. Go buy your baseball
kind of
team.
Like hush money.
Just give yourself a little bit of money. Give yourself a big salary, and I'll come into this panhandling endeavor with you.
And you can tell those friends don't like him because it took him like 6 years to raise the money he needed to, and all the other investors had it. This guy's the worst, Dan. How do they stop this? You tell me.
No, it's too late to stop it.
And, don't they have to vote to approve it?
And baseball loves the idea of having Jeter anywhere near everything. Yep. Just that Jeter wants to grace his gentlemanly presence anywhere near this sport, even though he doesn't want to watch it. He wants to make money off this sport because he doesn't like watching baseball. Here's $5 million a year. I mean, it's the most Stugotzian thing I've ever heard.
I'm proud of him.
That Derek Jeter is cloaked in all this elegance, but at his core, there's a little Stugotz there, paying himself $5 million a year and bossing around billionaires telling them, I get the power. I'm not putting in any of the money, but I want all the power to run this organization.
I've been telling you this for years, man. There's a little bit of Stugotz in everyone. Even Derek Jeter.
It's
in
amazing.
Everyone, Dan. It's somewhere inside of you, too. Everyone has a little bit of Stugotz in them.
And Jeter's going to be running the baseball and the business sides. And his experience for either?
He doesn't have experience for either. But
No.
that's the new trend now. You just give, whether it's Magic Johnson or John Elway, to me, that's an entirely different conversation that is worth having. The idea that your excellence on a sports field would merit you being John Elway, or John Lynch, or just climb straight, just cut in line, get in front of everybody, whether you're Jeter or Magic Johnson or Tony Romo. Like, the idea of so much around sports isn't actually merit-based when everything that's happening on the field is it's largely a meritocracy.
Yeah, I mean, the faulty assumption is that one leads to the other, that if you were a great player, it automatically means you can either coach or you can run a team. And more often than not, that's not the case.
Well, but let me ask you guys this question, though, because I believe if I ask the audience, my guess is the audience doesn't think for a second that Jeter can't do this. And my question to you would be, what skill set suggests to you that he can? Like, if you're willing to give this person a job based on how good a player he was, how famous he is, his image, if you're willing to give him that job, what does that have anything to do with merit?
I mean, he's won his entire life. I think that it's a ridiculous leap to make that he could do this.
But is that the leap? Because you say it's a ridiculous leap to make, and I think the audience is just sort of numb to it and says, yeah, Jeter's running the Marlins now. That's the way it should be. With no experience. Nothing. Derek Jeter has managed a person. How and when? He's done some of this, I guess, with the Players Tribune that he's running.
Yeah, just the idea that he's been the imprimatur of success his entire professional life, and therefore he's going to succeed here somehow. I mean, it's a shaky link, but a lot of people have it.
But let me ask you this question, because John Elway and Magic Johnson have that kind of link. But is there a hierarchy here in terms of how this works? John Lynch was a very good football player. But, John, the highest you can go is we'll let you cut in line for general manager. Elway, you're better than John Lynch was as a player. You don't have to be general manager. You can go shoot up straight to president.
Right.
Like, based on your excellence. Magic Johnson, you don't have to be the general manager. You can just go shoot up. You run the entire Lakers organization.
Right. Well, in Miami, you remember Dan Marino was a Dolphin vice president for about a minute and a half before deciding, he didn't want to work that hard.
Before realizing that how much work it was.
Right, exactly.
Dan Marino thought, like, wait a minute, I thought I was just going to come on here and wave like a parade float every day.
But he didn't start as an assistant general manager. He started as a vice president with about 5 words in his title.
These guys more like figureheads, and they're just good to have around the organization? Fans love having them around.
They're in charge. John Elway's in charge.
I think if Derek Jeter was a figurehead, Marlins fans would be breathing a little bit easier. He's not a figurehead. He's going to run this team.
But Magic Johnson's in charge. And so what I'm asking you guys is, when it comes to Derek Jeter, this happens at the lower levels too. Mike Matheny just starts as the manager. Like,
I think he won a World Series, did he not?
I know, yeah. but starts as he just started as the manager. Are there for guys like of that star stature? Barry Bonds had to come back as a hitting coach because he had all of these stigmas attached to him. But if Barry Bonds was just a great player and didn't have any stigmas attached to him, would he be running an organization right now? If he didn't have the steroid stuff?
If he wanted to,
because
probably.
Of his greatness? Like, what's too low level a position for someone like Magic Johnson or John Elway? What is too low? Derek Jeter, where is he supposed to start? He's not supposed to go to the minor leagues, is he?
No, he should be the third base coach.
Isn't even that too low?
Yes.
I mean, work your way. No, you got to work your way up the chain here.
But what I'm saying to you is anyone as great as Jeter coaching third base? Is anyone who is as great a player as Jeter? Like, I know Davey Lopes is like a first base coach, but is there anybody like you don't
scramble for all the third base coaches?
No, what I'm saying is you just gave Derek Jeter an entry level position.
He's got no experience.
I know.
Other than he's the captain.
I know.
Jerry Pendleton was a third base coach, right?
MVP, NL MVP,
but not Jeter.
Right, Freddie Gonzalez. We're sorry, but Derek wants to coach third. Sorry, Freddie.
Batard.
Our players are held to a higher standard, and we can summarize it all in 3 words. Make that 4 words. We are the Lobos. Thank you.
Stugotz.
We are the Lobos. We are the Lobos.
I don't know.
We are the Lobos. We are the Lobos. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show. Appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Here's your SportsCenter update. Florida State quarterback DeAndre Francois will be out for the season after suffering a patellar tendon injury in his left knee. Rockets owner... What happened?
I don't know. Sorry, it sounded like you put some extra R's.
He did. I watched him on Mike and Mike yesterday.
Yeah, I can't say that word. It's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one. Patellar.
It's just an A at the end. Patella.
Why are you
Patella.
Why are you?
Oh, the R is silent?
There's no
R.
What are you
in
doing?
patella.
Oh, there's an R on this.
Uh-oh.
Are you sure there's not an R? Because I'm pretty certain there is. I'm going to Google.
All right, well, you can
I have
finish
faith
the
in Roy
update.
here. Hold on.
All right, but finish the update. I thought it was patella. I thought it was
Was there
patella.
an R in your Mike and Mike
like
copy?
like Nutella. I thought it was Nutella.
It is patella with an A.
It doesn't end with an R.
It's a, you know what? Everyone has it differently. I'm serious. Tallahassee.com has it as Patella. Newsday has it as Patellar.
Weird.
All right.
How about that?
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Patella or Patellar? Patella or Patellar? Patella or Patellar?
Not easy.
Easy for you to say.
Patella or Patellar?
Well, here, it's a little of both. It says here a patellar fracture is a break in the patella.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. Rockets owner Leslie Alexander has agreed to a deal to sell the team to Houston billionaire Tillman Fertitta for $2.2 billion. That's crazy.
That is a different Fertitta, by the way. Those are not the Fertitta brothers that used to own the UFC.
Yes.
And whenever they had a dispute, they would fight it out, wrestle to see who won the decision. This is a different Fertitta brother, also related, a cousin of mafioso Fertittas. Allegedly, recklessly, reportedly.
And this story, according to sources who told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. And finally, a man who had too much to drink and sold his car to get more alcohol woke the next day to find it gone and reported it stolen to police. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
It was a good drinking day, and I thought it had been stolen. Let's do Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend Observations is brought to you by Select Quote. Free, personalized quotes in just 10 minutes. Call 1-800-533-4499 or go to selectquote.com. Dan, we are just 5 days away from finding out if the Raiders are for real. If the University of Texas football program were a basketball player, it would be James Harden. Christmas came early for Philip Dorsett. Anquan Bolden wants to come back and play for the Patriots, of course. Congratulations to the newest member of the gutless and spineless Owners Club, Jim Irsay. Tom Herman, bust. Things I wrote down because I thought Michigan was going to lose. Wilton spade up all over himself. Said it last year, and I'll say it again this year. You are not winning a national championship if your quarterback is Wilton Spate. Jim Harbaugh, eventually, the khakis won't be cute anymore. Start winning. Jim Harbaugh, quarterback whisperer. Jim, I'd like to whisper something into your ear. You're overrated. Wilton Spate, the point is to beat the other team, not your own. The Gators are going to give their game ball to Wilton Spate. Unfortunately, the world will never get to hear these incredible takes because Jim McElwain, eventually, the nuclear red face and suspiciously giant bright white teeth won't be cute anymore. Start winning. Jim McElwain, quarterback whisperer. Jim, I'd like to whisper something into your ear. You're overrated. And I'm going to die thinking that was you on that shark. And there is nothing you get to say or do to convince me otherwise. Matt Harvey, fake ace. What happened?
It's funny. It's funny, legitimately funny. I was rooting against McElwain just because of how serious he was about denying that nude shark photo. I was happy at everything Michigan was doing to collapse their season in the second half.
You know what it should say on the back of Tariq Black's jersey? Sundays. Tom Coughlin said he's not interested in Colin Kaepernick and told the media he won't tell them why. Don't worry, Tom. We know why. Hard to crack the code on that one, Tommy. Indians, Diamondbacks, World Series, collision course. Big Tom Herman. What has he ever done? You know what Michigan's D does? It swarms to everyone who runs the New York Jets. Go take a long walk off a short pier. Dan, you're never going to guess who FS1 hired for their new show to do weekly NFL segments. Stink. I know. It's shocking. Seattle Seahawks, team to beat. The only teams to have worse quarterbacks than the Florida Gators are the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets. Florida, not good when your defense is better at offense than your offense.
Did you just watch one game this weekend?
That's it.
Okay.
Tom Rinaldi has a haunting smile. This is your annual reminder of that time Chris Carter left Calvin Johnson off of his top 5 active receiver list and kept giving crazy reasons why instead of just admitting he obviously just forgot.
Why are you pointing that out today?
It's the annual reminder.
Okay.
Today's the day.
Right.
Will Greer, random drug test, collision course. William and Kate, slow the hell down. Josh Rosen, New York Jets, collision course. I wasn't certain if the University of Miami was back or not until I saw the takeaway chain. Greatest invention in the history of sports, the takeaway chain. The takeaway chain, otherwise known as the Blake Bortles chain. How did I screw that up? I was so excited for that. Can we try it again?
You screwed it up magnificently.
The takeaway chain, otherwise known as the Blake Bortles chain. Josh Rosen, more like Josh Nosen. Jermaine Kearse said he's focused on learning the Jets playbook. Jermaine, here's the playbook. 2-yard run, incomplete pass, sack. Josh McCown helicopters his way to the IR. Enjoy. Denver Broncos.
You're still laughing at Josh Nosen, Cody? You're still laughing at Josh Nosen.
I didn't know you were allowed to make fun of people's appearance.
I just did.
That is sublime.
I just gave him a name. Josh Nosen.
It's a great nickname.
Thank you. The Nosen one.
I like it.
You like that better? Yeah, we're on something
Baby.
here. Denver Broncos. There are certain guys you don't want to make angry. One of those guys is TJ Ward. I'm also assuming that before you did this, you cleared it with Aqib Talib. If you did it, I'll pray for you. Cavs GM, Kobe Altman, I respect what you're trying to do, but I promise you, regardless of what you do, he's leaving. Keep the pick. Don't be a dummy. Alabama, starting to ruin college football for me. You know where Saquon Barkley is moving to after the season? The Heisman House. Sorry about that, Mike. I screwed up the cadence. This year's frontrunner for most obvious headline of the year, marijuana charges in L.A. for Kings forward Zach Randolph. Zebo. There was a fantastic piece of reporting done by the New York Times on obvious academic fraud for the 2014 Florida State National Championship team. Why aren't we talking about it? And why does Jimbo Fisher still have a job? Kevin Sumlin, if the chair in your office feels a little warmer this morning, it's because you're on the hot seat. 32.5-point favorite Baylor Bears lost at home to Liberty. Art Briles must be pretty chilly because hell just froze over. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
I have no idea how Texas A&M lost that football game. I don't even understand what it is that I was watching while watching that football game. I watched in the first half, and UCLA's receivers simply can't get open. And then I'm watching the second half, and Jim Moore is throwing the entire game to his tight end. They made that adjustment, and Sumlin never reacted. The tight end ended up having 200 yards and catches.
The Nosen one.
I'm curious here on this, though. You know the scene that I've told you about before? Luke Wilson in Anchorman, the bear jumps up, spoiler alert, and tears off his arm at the zoo, and his reaction is just to look straight ahead and just be furious and go, "Oh, come on!" Because a bear jumped up and tore off his arm.
Yeah.
What is the come on with Kaepernick? Like Brock Osweiler going back to Denver, Brock Osweiler got stuck.
You merged the first and last name.
I was buffering. I want to get into
coming
that.
from a dude that just said Blortles.
Brockweiler.
Brockmeyer.
Blortles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think that's what happened there.
Not a stellar set. No, what happened there is that we're getting old.
Time to justify our unreasonable salaries.
The great thing is you know exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Brockweiler.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos were trying to trade for Kaepernick last season as a starter.
Yep.
They were trying to trade for him.
They were.
Then they bring back Brockweiler.
Le Batard.
I love me some doctors. Have a lot of respect for the medical profession.
Stugotz.
Except chiropractors.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg. What are you laughing about? Are you laughing? This just happened. We're on the air. Greg Cote is taking pictures of himself.
Like picture,
his narcissism has gotten to levels that are becoming a little bit hard to manage. We're on the air. Stugotz is reading, and Cody's laughing as he takes pictures of himself, and then I'm assuming sends them out on social media because you ran to the computer very excited. What's the matter with you?
Well, first of all, I took a picture, not pictures.
Right.
We're working.
Stugotz was reading whatever you call that thing he's reading.
Sports Center.
And
a billboard.
Right.
Yep.
Billboard.
Mm-hmm.
Billboard.
Greg, you couldn't have done it. Never mind. You couldn't have done it any time when you weren't working? When we weren't working?
I didn't know it was distracting. He was reading. The camera was on him.
Tell us,
I mean,
please.
I nailed the read, so I was fine with it.
See?
Yeah.
Please
It was
tell
a good
us.
read, by the way.
Thank you.
Please tell us.
Yeah.
That picture that
Right.
you just took
Yeah.
of yourself.
Let me see how it turned out.
No, well, what are you doing with it?
That's pretty good. Well, I wanted to. I've had these Greg's Lobos hats professionally made. I'm thinking of selling them,
Right.
and I decided to take a picture of one, and I may tweet it out. Just see if anybody would be interested in buying one.
You may tweet it out.
Yeah, you know.
Greg, you have on a otherwise plain hat. You have simply stuck. You have tricked me into wanting to talk about Greg's Lobos.
What?
He's told me during the break because he's like, "This is fantasy
I know.
time."
It is.
Everyone,
It is,
everyone
though.
is
I mean-
excited about fantasy time.
Right.
We have our draft tonight. The
It is.
Lobos draft
Yeah.
is tonight. You won the league last year, the reigning champ.
Yeah,
you.
fraud
What are
champion.
you looking at in number 2, Dan?
Yeah, you got number 2. I got the number 1 pick. You have number 2.
Why did you get the number 1 pick if I won the league?
Oh, this is a whole
Oh,
problem.
yeah, it's a
Let's not
whole
get into
debacle.
this.
Let's not even. It's too long of a story that no one cares about.
Lorenzo didn't
Yeah.
randomize the draft order. Instead, he claims to have randomized everybody,
Controversy.
having assigned them a Little League World Series team.
Right.
And your Little League World Series team finished second best.
And mine finished first. And if you win a league, it does not guarantee that. First off, I don't know a league where if you win it, you get the first pick in next year's draft.
It's unheard of.
Right. I don't think that ever happens. Right?
Yeah.
I think it ever happens. But the big draft is tonight. So essentially what's going to happen here is I'm going to leave you either Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson. You'll take the other.
Well, I will. I don't know. I'm
going to take one of
the
those two
computer
guys,
will.
and you'll take the other.
I'm
yes.
auto drafting, but regardless, how is Lorenzo in charge of this, and what kind of nightmare is it that Lorenzo is in charge of this? Because he seems overzealous. He seems like someone I don't want to be around.
Well, Charlie was our commissioner for a couple of years, but then
He was
Charlie-
also a little bit overzealous.
He was, but Charlie left our show to produce other shows under the Air
Put
Flight
it
Home
on the
umbrella.
poll. Is your fantasy commissioner overzealous? Is your fantasy league commissioner overzealous?
They usually are. They usually are, right? If you agree to do that, they're usually overzealous.
So I reached out to Lorenzo because typically the television producer handles all of this stuff and said, hey, you want to be the producer? And he's become a total dictator.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, I guess we can talk about this because we should talk about this because everyone's got this going on in their life. Go ahead. Let's update his.
Yeah.
It is time now for a weekly update on our favorite team,
Greg, it's draft
Rex
day.
Lobos.
Hey!
Here is their head coach and president of football operations, Greg Cote.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm a kid on Christmas morning. Lobos.
Is Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, Stugotz, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Don Le Batard.
You know, when you think about it, the clapper was way ahead of its time. When you would go like that and the light would come on, I mean, that was way ahead of its time.
Yes.
Is the clapper still, as an industry, doing well?
$21.90 at Walmart right now. Still doing very well.
How about that?
Yep, the clapper.
Stugotz.
I guarantee you when I get the sales on this thing, they're going to be through the roof.
Through the roof sales.
Oh, look at all these clappers here.
Yeah.
I'll wait for it.
I'm getting there.
The clapper.
Are you going to contribute anything to this segment, or are you just going to make noises?
I invented this clapper segment, by the way. It was me who brought it up. You're welcome. The clapper.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
South Florida is a little scared. We're used to this stuff with these storms, and we're used to these weather terrorist weather people driving up their ratings by scaring the hell out of us with nothing happening. But this one feels a little different.
Yep.
This storm that's coming, it feels a little more like Andrew felt. I feel a little more fear. Natives of South Florida here, and Houston is contributing to this, obviously, because if South Beach were hit directly by this storm, it would look like New Orleans and look like Houston. This storm hits South Beach, hits where we are right now,
right,
and everything's going to be underwater.
It's part of life down here, the Keys, too, but it does look like it's coming, and it's a Category 5 right now. It does look like it's coming directly at South Florida.
Mm-hmm. And it's worse for the Keys. I mean, I feel for those people more so than I fear for my own situation, because it 50 miles south in Key West, they're going to get hit with the brunt of it, whereas once it hits landfall, it tends to dissipate a little bit. So, for example, Broward County and Central Florida's not going to get it as bad as South Florida, I wouldn't think.
Many of you are writing in that you think at this point that it's choreographed, that Greg Cote is in on the joke. If you are not familiar with what we do at the end of every hour around here, Greg Cote refuses to learn the clocks around here, no matter how much shame and indignity we cause him. And so at this point, we are now trying to trick him into forgetting about the clocks. And the way to do that is to simply get him talking about himself. Clocks is what I meant to say there. Mm-hmm. Clocks is the word that I meant to say. Dangerous word. I will refrain from getting anywhere near it heretofore.
Not dangerous if you put the L in it.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's the L of it.
There he is. King Subtlety. It's his gift. He shows up at any situation with his sausage fingers and just puts his fingerprints, everything, everywhere. Tuesdays are a nightmare for me. Like, this show was going to end on Tuesday.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Greg Cote just gave a double thumbs up to that. But anyways, he's not in on it. He is not in on it. He has no idea that we're getting him with the clock.
What they can't see is his reaction once we go to commercial break. He's legit mad. Like that one, because he loves his Lobos fantasy update, and he might not get it in because we got some guests coming up in the noon hour. He was furious. Very upset with both of us.
It's a shame, too, because I really want to hear this Lobos.
So do I.
I don't.
Today is the day to hear it.
Big day, man.
I know, but I want to talk more about what Lorenzo is doing to our league here. What is the problem? Because this is sucking the fun. I don't enjoy these things. I don't want to be around these things. These email chains are convoluted and they're just really long.
There are too many emails. There are too many things changing. Just tell me when the draft is. Tell me what pick I have, and that's it. That's all I want to hear from my commissioner.
Yep.
And he has taken this thing way too far. Worse than Charlie. Worse, and you know how I feel about Charlie, because Charlie can be very, very annoying.
How did he
and Charlie is trying to stage a coup right now to take back the controls he once had of this fantasy
Lorenzo
league.
Get in charge. What happened here? Explain to me the specifics. This seems like something that he is not to be trusted with, and I want to know exactly how this happened.
Well, no one wanted to be in charge of commissioner of the league. I certainly did it.
That tends to be how these things tend to happen.
So I reached out to the television producer because when Charlie was a television producer, he would be the commissioner.
Did his eagerness not frighten you? Was it not a warning sign?
I would have thought he would have learned from Charlie's mistakes, but instead he used it more as a guideline.
What is the telltale sign? What is before you've put a commissioner in place of your fantasy league? What is the telltale signs about his personality that person is not going to be a good commissioner for your fantasy league? Because I could have told you before this even started that Lorenzo was on the list of things, because Lorenzo's a little bit of a puppy dog. Like, he's very eager. And you don't want that around your fantasy league. Well, it's a very bad thing to have running your fantasy league.
The first rule, at least for me in my leagues, is if a guy wants to be the commissioner of the fantasy league, he's not the commissioner of the fantasy league. If he's volunteering his services, you don't want that guy, and then you just appoint someone. Like, that's how we do it in our league. Because if there's a lot of time that goes into it and a lot of effort, and you annoy people. And if a guy wants to do that, you don't want him.
If a guy wants to be the commissioner of the fantasy league too badly, should you not allow him to be the commissioner of the fantasy league?
I found out this weekend I'm the commissioner of a fantasy league, and I forgot that I was, and the draft started, and I had to reset the draft because no one was in time for the draft. And I didn't know how to do that.
Well, you don't want
a bunch of picks had been made
that's
already.
what you don't want either.
I find it interesting that Sarah Spain calls herself the commish, but yet was not able somehow to rise to the level of being the commissioner. But I want to tell you that I am the commissioner not only of PFPI, but of PFPI Fantasy. I run a great league. I put out weekly press releases. My league runs like Usain Bolt. It's unbelievable. Seriously.
He runs that league the same way he runs everything. He just delegates everything to me.
You do the press releases?
I mean...
Huh?
Uh-oh. A little tension.
Really?
Uh-oh.
He sends out an email on Tuesday with everything that I've done for the league.
You are? No, that's it. That's
a recap of your work.
Greg Cote, look, let me explain to you. When Greg Cote says he's on the 18th hole of life, second shot in the rough, when he says that, like, Greg Cote absolutely loves when others spend their money and their time and their effort and their emotion and their involvement in doing things for him. Like, that's where he is on this.
Yep.
I don't know how to respond to these lies.
You know not to deny it.
I do delegate, but I also do the bear share of the work myself.
Can I read the last press release? Has there been a press release yet on the Lobos Fantasy League?
Do you have one from last year, maybe?
I'm sure we have one from last year. I don't know if I can access
Is it a press release, or is it just an email? Are you just typing up a paragraph of email?
Well, like a summary of the games and what happened and star players and stuff like that?
You're talking about PFPI or PFPI Fantasy? Because those are distinct enterprises.
Yourself, man. Just go bleep yourself.
Well, they're two very different things.
Just shut up. I'm sorry I even started this conversation. In fact, go to commercial early because I'm just so rabid and furious at myself for even asking any of those questions.
Nothing in life is free. Time for some ads.
A good college football weekend, man. We could be talking about all sorts of different things.
Let's do it. I got something for the Gators, Coach. Only game I watched.
What do you got for him?
I mean, seriously. I got something for him if you want to, tease it for the next segment. But, I mean, this guy, man, he coaches scared. He preaches to his players toughness and don't let the moment be too big for you. And his players came out swinging on Saturday against Michigan. 2 pick sixes. They get the ball back. They're up, I think, 17-6. They have the ball on the other team's 40-yard line. It is time to put your foot on the other team's throat. What does he do? Run, punt. Other team gets the ball back. They score a touchdown. Jim McElwain, he lost the game for the Gators. The players didn't. They came to play. He coached scared. He lost the game for the Florida Gators.
And his quarterback's not very good.
They were up.
Yep, because of the 2 pick sixes.
I know.
His quarterback's not very good.
When you have a chance to put Michigan away, it's not run, punt when you're on Michigan's 35-yard line.
It is if you don't trust your quarterback and have reasons to not trust your quarterback. And I'm with you. He should have gone for it. But that's neither here nor there. He coached like a coach who doesn't trust his quarterback. it's really hard to coach confidently with one of those.
Well, it's his job to get a quarterback.
But wouldn't you agree?
And then it's his job to coach up the quarterbacks that he has. Isn't he this offensive guru, Jim McElwain? I mean, do something. Seriously.
All right, do something.
The white teeth and everything. The tan skin. It's all getting old.
Okay.
And it's not going to be cute anymore until he starts winning.
It's just
because there are expectations there, and he's not meeting those expectations.
It's just funny that you would have done this to Jim Harbaugh today if he had been the one who had lost that game.
So
you were ready
to
you were doing this in the first half to Jim Harbaugh.
I wasn't. I'll do it the second he loses.
Don Batard.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald does an annual gala.
The PFPIs.
It's a gala, man.
What does PFPI stand for?
Pro Football Predictions Incorporated, but we just say PFPI.
Stugotz.
Greg Cote is the only one wearing a suit and largely the only one taking this seriously.
No, I think just about everybody but Christopher took it seriously.
That's not true. No one takes it serious.
Don't you dare.
Greg Cote's wearing a suit. He's handing over a trophy to a family who don't want his trophy, don't want him driving.
He's just now realizing all this.
It just dawned on him how stupid all of this is.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Le'Veon Bell and Stephen A. Smith are going back and forth with each other on Twitter. We'll get to that in just a second. But before we do that, I told you guys who have been listening to this show for a long time about at the end of my grandfather's life, my grandfather was losing his mind a little bit, and so we'd get calls sometimes. Your grandfather is just sort of walking down the street at midnight. That's when we realized that we needed to get him some help. But at that time, sometimes I'd ask my grandfather, before we had totally identified all of the symptoms and realized that my grandfather was losing his mind, some things would happen that would be that you couldn't tell whether it was delirium or senility or just old people stuff. Like he was sitting there trying to answer a phone one time, and when I came up to him, he was trying to answer the remote control to the television. And sometimes, like, we'd see him in a room in the house, sort of trying to open a room in the house, and he'd have, for some reason, his underwear in his hand. The point of this is I just felt that while shepherding Greg Cote out of the shipping container filled with frightened refugees by the lower back, because he was just inundating them with how he has to get Devontae Parker in his draft and Devontae Freeman, sorry. Whatever.
Reigning MVL, Lobos Hall of Famer.
Okay, but this is what it's going to be like to age with Greg Cote is what I'm saying. It's going to be like stuff like that where he was just yelling at everybody and I was just gently steering him out of the room. Hey, we got a radio show to do with my left hand in his lower back.
Right. Going to get a call one day that he's walking down the street in the middle of the night?
Something like that, yes.
Muttering Devon Freeman.
Yes, MVP, most valuable Lobo.
MVL.
Like that's, whatever. Yeah, my bad. MVL. MVP, most valuable Lobo. All right, let's get into a little bit of the games from this weekend, because I don't understand what the hell I saw. I don't understand how Texas A&M lost. I don't understand how Tennessee won. Georgia Tech controlled that entire football game yesterday. And then at the end, Tennessee won. And the thing that I found confusing, maybe you guys can help me with this. We all watch football. We love football. Football's here. I'm watching the first half of that game of UCLA, Texas A&M. And my analysis of that was, UCLA doesn't have the athletes. UCLA doesn't have guys. Every route, because I know how good Josh Rosen is, and every route he was throwing to somebody who was covered in the first half. And then the second half happens, and there's none of that. And I just don't understand the sport enough. Even as I see the tight end running open the entire second half, has 15 catches for 200 yards. I know Jim Mora made an adjustment, and basically it was just Rosen throwing to his tight end the entire second half. I don't understand what changed. Like, I'm sitting there watching that,
right.
And I, allegedly an expert, I don't know what I'm watching.
Well, Texas A&M's quarterback got hurt, their starting quarterback, and as it pertains to Rosen, who was great in the fourth quarter, I mean, there's no way you can – but there was some luck involved with Rosen because, Dan, he threw a couple of balls up that guys just happened to run under in the end zone, and he threw one right through the hands of a Texas A&M cornerback that he should have intercepted.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. But what I'm saying is they looked incompetent in the first half. And in the second half, they were throwing the ball all over the field. And while Texas A&M, like Sumlin, the world is caving in on Sumlin right now because they're he did have to go to his backup quarterback, but the thing that he was doing that was just stupefying is you're winning by 13 points. You have the ball. There are 6 minutes left in the game. Why are you in a hurry to snap the ball, no huddle, at the 30-second mark of the play clock every time, or the 20-second? Like, I was baffled by that. You're up 13 with the ball, and instead of just slowing down for a second with their backup quarterback who had like 3 completions all game, they're still going down the field and throwing.
Right.
Like, they're in a hurry to go down the field and throwing. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Right. They played that as if they were behind by 13.
You're asking to lose the game. You're begging to lose this game up by 13. And you're still, and it made me wonder, can you not run your offense slowly? Like, it honestly made me wonder that. Is your offense totally ineffective if you just slow it down and use a huddle?
And what if the answer to that question is yes, we're not nearly as effective?
Even then it's bad coaching because you need to slow that game down.
Right.
You need to milk some of that clock.
But maybe he's saying, I'm just playing the other side here because I agree with you. But maybe he says, no, our offense is at its best when we're doing this. I'm going to try to put the game out of reach.
I'm sure he thinks that. But what I'm saying is up 13, you got to slow everything down.
They would have been almost better off taking 3 delay of game penalties and then punting. I mean,
seriously.
It was crazy.
It's funny how the whole sport works, though, because Sumlin is now on the hot seat, and I'm telling you, Dan, in the first half, like everyone on Twitter, Moore was on the hot seat.
Yeah, well, that's where we are today, right? That's where we are in 2017, right? With Michigan, Florida, like you're half away from your coach getting questioned, unless it's Belichick or Popovich. And even then, hell, I saw in the we'll do it to Popovich too. We'll do it to anybody. Hell, we've done it to Belichick. Belichick going for it 4th and short in his own territory against Peyton Manning because he wants to keep the ball. We did it to him because it failed.
I feel like Belichick and Popovich, though, are the only 2 coaches in the universe who sort of have permanent Teflon.
Skate on everything?
Yeah, everything.
That's not entirely true because I remember when Ray Allen hit that shot, Popovich got buried with why wasn't Tim Duncan in the game.
True.
We will not even my point in making the Belichick point is we will not give immunity to anybody. Right. Okay. If the result fails, we will not go to your body of work and say, well, you kind of know more than we do, which I find funny specifically because I'm telling you in the UCLA game, thank you for all you guys who are writing in. Hey, Dan, it's called adjustment. I don't understand the adjustments I was watching. In the first half, I saw wide receivers who simply were not getting open. In the second half, all of a sudden, everyone from UCLA is open, and especially that tight end that Sumlin had no answers for. Such a bad loss.
What a first week in college football. The Georgia Tech game, the UCLA game, shocking upsets by Liberty and Howard, record-setting upsets.
Yes.
FSU, number 3 team in the nation, loses its starting quarterback. I can't remember an opening week that's sort of had more weird stuff going on.
Pretty interesting, but the games you expected to be good weren't any good.
Yeah.
Like the 2 big games you wanted to be good, they were dreadful. It was boring football, man.
The Alabama's done something to the sport that is a little difficult. It's a little difficult aesthetically in that they are so overwhelmingly professional everywhere but at quarterback. So the way they overwhelm you isn't terribly fun. It's not fun to watch if you're just tuning in for a big game and you don't have a rooting allegiance. You don't care whether Alabama wins or not.
It's running game, special teams, and great defense.
Well, no, what it is Saban is just dumping. He's opening his pants and throwing it on the table. Like, it's just an enormous amount of talent. He's just throwing all of his talent at you, and it doesn't even matter what happened. Bad analogy? All right.
I think so. That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE
What are you
networks.
laughing about?
You just had him throwing it all on the
well,
table.
that's what he does. Yeah. Yes or no? Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is that what Saban does? Just unzips and whips.
Don Le Batard.
Who are the most overzealous fans?
I think Taylor Swift has the most overzealous fans. She had to be pulled off a stage at Madison Square Garden, I believe.
Swifties.
Yeah, Swifties.
Yeah.
Stugotz.
Perry Como's got some real fans as well. They're crazy, those people. Comoites, I think they call them.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Ron McGill going to join us in a half hour, noon Eastern, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The New York Jets are 1,000 to 1 to win Super Bowl 52 at the Westgate Superbook in Las Vegas. Funny. 1,000 to 1. It's pretty good odds, actually.
Value. Bet them. Bet them.
Value. It's the best
good
value.
I would not bet $1.
I won't. Trust me, I won't.
Not a cent.
I won't. Not even as a goof?
There is no such an odd. There's no odds. You could say $1.
Well, when you what?
The world.
And you still wouldn't bet it?
Wasting my money.
The world?
Nothing. You can,
$1 for a chance of the world.
$1 for all the money in the world. Nope, I'm going to save it right here.
I do it for the world. Come on, let's do it. I'll split it with you. A couple of quarters each. 50 cents each. We win. What do we get? We get $1,000? We split it 50-50.
What do you?
I want in.
I'll give you. You in?
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, good. I'll give you 800. I take 200. Good?
Fine.
All right. You realize what you just agreed to?
Will you
Giving
keep
me
the show moving?
$1,000.
No!
Cubs starter Jake Arrieta thinks he'll be fine after leaving Monday's game against the Pirates in the third inning with tightness in his right hamstring. And finally, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers wants Leonardo DiCaprio to play the Joker in their gritty 80s noir Joker origin film that Martin Scorsese is unofficially in line to produce. Jared Leto, whose Joker is getting his own spin-off, was caught off guard by the news and has made his displeasure known through his agents. What room did I screw up there? What word did I screw up there?
This has been the worst show we've ever done.
Noir?
Yeah, this is right now. We are in the middle of the single word show
me, man. I'm being
this
great.
show has ever done, and it's
it.
at least in part because you and Greg think you've been great.
Yeah,
that's
really
one of the
good.
things that's in play.
I'm
here.
not saying anything for Greg. I know I've been great.
He has been good.
Yep. Draft the perfect lineup, you see, in the free $100,000 fantasy football contest this Sunday at DraftKings, and you could win $1 billion. That's a billion with a B. Use code HUDDLE and play free only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I could read Mike's body language. I could read his face. What happened there with your 800-200 betting the world thing? I saw it on his face.
What do you mean?
He thought that what we were doing was terrible.
Okay.
Continuing with what we've done today, which is terrible, and I'm in on it. Like I'm not recusing myself.
Yeah, you've been bad
here.
today.
I've also been bad, but now you see what it looks like.
You're the
when
straw
I'm
that
also
stirs
bad.
this drink, Dano.
Yeah, now you see what it looks like
Stugotz and I
on
have been pretty
Tuesday
good.
when I'm also terrible.
Oh, so you're saying every Tuesday we're terrible, but
Right, but
you
it can
lift
be
us
funny.
up.
But it can be funny.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Time now for Greg Cote's Back in My Day.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
Dishwashers. Noisy beasts. Water wasters. Requiring expensive detergent and then taking forever to perform their task. But that isn't the worst about dishwashers. The worst is what these so-called conveniences have made disappear. Family time at the sink. That's right. I've lived it. Halcyon days spent in the kitchen after a meal, joyously tag-teaming the dishes in cherished moments of family bonding. Left to right, Sally cleared the table and scraped scraps away. Ma submerged the dishes into soapy water and cleaned. Junior rinsed and dried. And Pa put the sparkling plates, bowls, and cutlery back in the cupboard. All the while, the family kibitzed, laughed, maybe sang. And by the way, took care of those dishes so much quicker, efficiently, and economically than that lumbering dishwasher. Over in the laundry room, the dryer is another modern machine as noisy as it is unnecessary. You know what we called the clothes dryer back in my day? Sun and wind. Backyard clotheslines were a part of the American landscape. From clothespins on the line dangled newly washed garments, the original use of the phrase hung out to dry. Shirts riffled and snapped in the breeze, drying naturally. Your dryer cannot compete with a pair of snap-dried slacks. You want to save lots of money? You want to clear a couple of big, bulky machines out of your abode? You want to get back to basics and feel good again as you set the table or button a wind-snapped shirt? Dump your dishwasher and dryer and redefine what washing and drying means at your home.
Yeah.
And the first time the family gathers together in front of that sink, somebody be the hero by starting a rousing rendition of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I'm Greg Cote.
Yeah.
And that's how it was back in my day.
All right. It's excellent. Petered out, but excellent. Excellent. Row, row your boat isn't the song I would have gone with.
Rally starts now.
All right. We're going to rally as a show right now. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Do we really need dishwashers? He's right about it not being efficient.
Yeah, it isn't.
He's right about that. Nobody can argue it's efficient. But the efficiency is in being able to go do something else while your dishes are washed.
Correct. More important things, perhaps.
Yeah, but
What's more important?
just than washing your dishes?
Yeah.
Texter writes in here. He's trying to make us slump again.
Row, row, row your boat.
He's insistent. He's insistent on
Rowing it.
Thank you. Rowan and Martin.
Texter writes in, you guys are probably not the most objective when it comes to Saban. You still whine about him leaving your pathetic Dolphins team. What he does is get a bulk of the best recruits. Thank you, sir.
Really?
Really. Thank you for such wisdom.
You
don't say. I didn't see it before, but now that you've explained it that way, how can I possibly disagree? He doesn't always win, but he wins more consistently than other coaches. You talk about those Hurricane defensive teams in glowing terms, yet when a team that is better than those teams comes around, it's now boring. The dynasty he's created is more impressive than the dynasty purchased in Miami.
I mean, I respect him. I don't know how you don't respect Nick Saban and the job he's done. They're the only team to make it to the college football playoff the only 3 years. It's been around for 3 years. He's been there every single year. And it reminds me of those UM teams. They're not as exciting or flamboyant, but it does remind me of them because their backups are just as good as their starters.
Well, but here's why it doesn't remind me of those Miami teams. And all I'm talking about, I'm not talking about excellence or respect. I'm talking about the aesthetics of watching entertaining football.
Yep.
I mean, Amari Cooper's not there anymore. Like, they don't have the skill, talent at the skilled positions. Their defense is totally overwhelming. I also don't want to watch that because you ruin the other team's offense.
Right.
Like, I don't want to watch Alabama, LSU, those games where I know all the people on the field are incredible athletes, but the defense is just destroying everything the offense wants to do because the defense has better athletes and there aren't enough Amari Coopers on Alabama, and the quarterback's never great. So you don't have, what I'm watching from Alabama football, it's dominant, but it's not aesthetically pleasing dominantly because I see them spraying the football all over the field because they're a professional offense as well. They're just bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody, so they're winning all the games, and they're very well coached. But, I mean, it's not pleasing to watch them. Like that game against FSU was one of the worst games of the weekend, and it's the two best teams in the sport, according to the polls and the talent.
It was more pleasing to watch them. I agree with you with everything you just said. But when Amari Cooper was there, guys like that, because you're right, the last 2 years or 3 years, actually, it's been really big running backs who get 3.5, 4 yards a carry.
Their big skill professional talent has been the running back. And so what I end up watching is your overwhelming defense and a great running game and quarterback play that almost always stinks and wide receivers that aren't very good if they're not Amari Cooper. So I'm not watching. I am not disparaging the excellence. The point is to win, and he's as good as I've ever seen. But I'm talking about, I'm not enjoying watching that football game.
Now it's droning excellence.
Well, look, man, I don't mind it if it's Clemson. Like, you saw the game last year where, okay, let's go. Let's open up the game and enjoy it. But they throttle you defensively because they've got so many people on defense who are pros.
But I think in part you get so excited about the Clemsons that come along because you have that foil constantly, that boring, always there foil that you're trying to bring down with excitement. I think it's good.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying that it's not aesthetically pleasing to watch for those 2.5 hours on Saturday.
It's kind of boring. We should remember the last year 35-31 national championship
right,
game.
Well, that's
it was
what
a very
I just
exciting
said.
game. Right.
No, that's what I just said, but it takes a Deshaun Watson. It takes somebody who's the best player in college football, and then you see them look that way, and you're confused by it, and then you see their offense challenged and tested and has to rise to it, and that makes for an aesthetically pleasing football game. But what you saw Saturday was not that.
Defense is never going to be as exciting, though. I mean, nobody would call the Seattle Seahawks an exciting football team. What amazes me, though, about the perpetuity of Alabama's recruiting prowess is that if you're a 4-star recruit, and you go anywhere else in the country, you're going to be the star of that team. If you're a 4-star recruit and you go to Alabama, you may not start. You may be redshirted. That's how good they are.
Well, that's what Marty Smith told us last week. The number one recruit of the country in 2012 just got his first start Saturday.
They beat LSU last year 10-0.
I know. But that's the kind of game I'm talking about. Their last 2 games against LSU have felt like that. I don't want to watch that.
I do. It's refreshing for college football.
Defensive battle.
We have enough 42-41 games.
All right. He wants to watch that. He's the one who I didn't even correct you saying that Seattle. Nobody would consider the Seattle Seahawks exciting.
They're not an exciting team.
Oh, I think they are.
I didn't even correct you. Your judgment is so flawed there.
I mean, great personalities. I think Russell Wilson, when he's right, is very exciting to watch.
It's good that you disagreed so eloquently while drinking water into a water bottle. So I just heard, that's good. Good radio by you. Good work.
Payday. Payday. It is payday.
Rally killer. You grounded into a triple play.
You want more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz? Tune in, starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shades.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Dan Le Batard.
Come in here and tickle. Hurry up and tickle him till the end of the segment.
My Dr. McGillicuddy said this could be bad for my heart. Could be bad for my heart.
Stugotz.
Having a heart attack.
Tickle him more. Tickle him more. Right to the end of the segment.
Heart attack in it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you want the telephone number, want to call in, 786-456-4837 is how you reach Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Let's go out to Tate. Tate, you're on with Ron McGill. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron, big fan. I was wondering, I know our animals can sometimes sense bad weather. So are there any weird reactions from the animals at the zoo about Irma coming?
Well, nothing yet. We will be paying close attention to them, but more than the animals at the zoo, man, I tend to watch the animals, our native animals. One of the things I remember very vividly from Andrew was the day of Andrew. I think it was a Sunday that came that Sunday night. It was just a beautiful day here at the zoo. White puffy clouds, deep blue sky. I walked outside, and one of the first things I noticed was that as beautiful as it was, I couldn't find a native bird anywhere. No birds singing, no squirrels, nothing. And I didn't make much of it at the time, thinking, oh, that's kind of weird. But then I remember that storm hit that night, and it was like I put two and two together, and I realized these animals have a way of sensing when something's really coming. For the past several hurricane threats that we've had, I've always gone outside and I said, oh, okay, we got a hurricane warning here in Miami. I look outside and the mockingbirds are singing and birds are flying around, and I never panic too much. I said, you know what? It's not going to be that bad because these animals are telling me otherwise. So I will be here, Saturday morning or Friday night, whatever, and I'll look around for native wildlife. If I don't see lizards, if I don't see birds, if I don't see squirrels, I'm going to get really, really nervous.
Dave, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead. Dave, go ahead.
Ron, if a skunk and a porcupine meet up in the woods, who wins that fight?
Well, it's going to be the skunk because the skunk can shoot that awfully stinking stuff from quite a distance. It can go sometimes 4 to 8 feet. So as soon as the porcupine starts approaching it, the skunk just backs up and squirts it right in the face, and the porcupine's out of there. The porcupine doesn't have the ability or the opportunity to use those quills, because remember, porcupines don't shoot quills. They have to back up into you with those quills. They have to hit you with those quills. They don't shoot them. So having said that, the skunk has got the long-range missile, so to speak, that's going to give him the advantage.
How the honey badger don't care, though, right? What's the animal least likely to care about about the skunk smell?
The honey badger, you're right, Dan. It's probably my favorite animal, pound for pound, the most aggressive, the most out of its mind, crazy animal. And at the end of the day, if the honey badger wants to eat the skunk, it's going to kill the skunk. It doesn't care. It smells so bad.
Charles, you're on with Ron McGill. Go ahead, Charles.
Hi, Ron. What's your starting 11 on offense for animal football, and who's your kicker? Thanks.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to have some fun. Starting 11.
Starting 11, Ron.
On offense, and who's your kicker?
Right.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, my kicker, first of all. Now, we're saying relative to size, right? Because who's going to be the kicker relative to size? I'm going to go with the flea. The flea.
Okay, but you're losing. No, because
I think you got to go relative to which animal can actually kick a ball. I got to go kangaroo.
Oh, okay.
You got to go. You got to win this football game. We got a big game this weekend, Miguel. This weekend we got a big game.
But that's what I was asking. Am I saying relative?
No, that's very poor coaching by you, and you're a terrible general manager.
And we can't have a ball that can kill the animal.
That's right. That we can't. What kind of game do we have there? Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, what I'm saying is that if you
who can kick the ball the farthest?
Are you going to stop yelling at me? Because I don't take well to yelling, Dan.
He's in a bad mood today.
Okay. I'm preparing for a freaking hurricane, Dan. I'm on edge. Don't push my button.
Let's get to the important stuff, Ron.
Okay.
The kicker. I need a 35-yard field goal to win the game. What is the animal that you are making your kicker?
I am going to go with a zebra.
All right. Nice. All right. Excellent work.
All right.
Nice. So
kicking from behind now. He's going to have to back it up if they don't kick forward.
I got it.
Okay.
So who is your running back?
We've already said this. It's a rhino, Dan. We're going to go over this again. It's a freaking rhino. Who stops the rhino, Dan?
Okay.
Nobody.
All right. Your wide receivers?
Cheetahs.
Nice.
Okay. Your tight end?
Gorillas.
Good team.
Formidable. Yeah. Good drafting.
Yeah.
The linemen, all the linemen, are they the same species, or are you going to go different species?
No, I'm going to go all the same species, elephants.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Nice.
all elephants? I thought it'd be cool if you had like an elephant next to a hippo, next to,
all elephants, Dan. All elephants, Dan.
All right.
Wait, so the quarterback?
Elephants.
All right.
The quarterback.
It's got to be tall, right?
I'm going to go with the giraffe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to throw over the elephant.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
But he can't throw, though, right? You just want somebody tall. You just got Osweiler. You just gave a big contract to Osweiler. You're an idiot.
Dan, you know, I don't know. You got to get over this inferiority
Dan McGuire.
complex
You just gave big money to Dan McGuire. You don't know whether he could throw or not.
No.
He's just tall.
Dan.
It's idiotic what you've done.
Dan, it's freaking animals, okay? Who owns the football? It's animals. Okay, it's animals, Dan.
But I'm just thinking the animal that could throw the best, like that throws stuff. Like which animal is known for throwing stuff?
You picked a quarterback who's got a hoof. You got what the hell? It can't even grip the football. Do you realize the fumbling problem you've got on your hand when I come in on the blind side with one of my hippos? Like, do you realize I'm going to break your quarterback in half because he can't grab the ball?
Dan, you're not going to break my quarterback in half because you can't get to him because he's going through a line of elephants.
5 elephants.
But the ball doesn't seem to be moving because he can't do anything with it. How is the giraffe?
Dan, let me tell you, Dan. Listen, the giraffe puts the football in his mouth, just leans over, gives it to the cheetah, who then runs all the way with the football in his mouth.
Okay? So no passing game. You guys are running the Paul Johnson offense.
Who needs a passing game when you've got a rhino for a running back and a cheetah for wide receiver?
2017.
Just give it to the cheetah and let the cheetah do his thing, man.
That's it, brother. Who's going to stop it, Dan? Come on, Dan. Give me your comeback, Dan.
I was preparing for a pro-style offense on defense.
If he chose Gronk as his tight end, would anyone have objected?
Dan, let me tell you something, Dan. That would have been a great answer. With you, Dan, the problem with you, Dan, is that when you realize I give you good answers, you're nowhere to go and you start screaming. Okay? You got to stop that. You just got to concede defeat and it's over.
All right. How great an answer would that have been? Who's your tight end? Gronk. Great answer. Aaron, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was curious. I was golfing the other day, and on a tee box noticed a squirrel getting in my golf cart. When I got back to the golf cart, I noticed that the squirrel had eaten about half of a marijuana cookie. How bad of a day did that squirrel have?
Oh,
the squirrel had a freaking great day. Are you kidding me?
Awesome.
Come on.
All right.
See, the problem is we have the same problem here at the zoo, not with marijuana cookies, but with squirrels getting into golf carts and getting into bicycles. Because people feed the squirrels all the time. Don't feed the wildlife, guys. Because what's going to happen is one of these days, one of those squirrels is going to go in there, look for his marijuana cookie, not get anything, and he's going to bite you. Okay? Don't feed the wildlife. We have an ongoing issue here with people feeding these animals all the time, and they come to expect it. I mean, we got squirrels here that have more guts. They'll jump into bicycles with people looking for food. Can't do that, guys. Stop it.
Ron, if Hurricane Irma hits us as hard as it's projected to, unfortunately, what will you do at the zoo? Or do you transport the animals away, or how does that work?
No. That's one of the biggest questions, most common questions I get here is, where are you going to, evacuate the animals to? The bottom line is we don't move the animals out of the zoo, regardless, because hurricanes, as many people know, have the experience, can change direction at the very last second, and we might be evacuating an animal right to where the hurricane ends up going. The also concern is that by moving these animals, you cause so much stress on the animal by moving it that many times that stress is more dangerous to the animal than having to face the hurricane itself. So what we're doing is we take animals. Since Hurricane Andrew, all the buildings have been upgraded. All of our holding facilities have been upgraded. They'll be protected within those facilities. There's no such thing as hurricane-proof, but we are as hurricane-resistant as I think any zoo in the country because of our experience from Andrew. So we just, we do all that we can as preventative measures, and basically you got to pray a little bit. I mean, the bottom line is you can never underestimate the power of nature. I'm hoping the storm does not come directly to us, but we are certainly experienced in that arena, and we know to do the best that we can to protect this wildlife.
Troy, you're on with Ron McGill. Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, Ron, I run in ultra-marathon races, and I'm curious of what animal would win a 100-mile race with 26,000 feet of gain.
Wow. I'm going to go with the African wild dog. It probably has the greatest endurance of any running animal that I know of. And that's how they are the most successful large carnivore in all of Africa, because they're able to outrun their prey. Not necessarily outrun them in speed, but just outlast them. They are the marathon runners of hunters. If you look up African wild dog, you see the way they hunt. They can run for miles and miles at the same clip where you think they would just become exhausted.
Ron, do you have a video to do play-by-play
I do.
for us on?
I do have the video.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm opening up. Oh, there's a woodpecker here. I'm hitting play. The woodpecker's pecking away at this big hole. Looks like a pileated woodpecker, big red crest on it. Oh, jeez, what happened? Oh, God, a big snake just came out of there. It looks like a boomslang. The woodpecker's still pecking away. It doesn't seem like he's oh, no, he's pecking the snake. Oh, the snake goes to get the woodpecker. The woodpecker flies away. Holy jeez, what a surprise. That scared the heck out of me. Oh, he's coming back. This woodpecker is like, he's pecking at the snake. Oh, jeez, the snake's got him. The snake's got the woodpecker. Oh, no, it doesn't look good. Oh, no, it got away. It got away.
The woodpecker wouldn't leave him alone.
It got away. It got away. The woodpecker's back. The woodpecker's back. He's pecking at him again. This woodpecker's either stupid. I don't know what the deal is. He's going in there. Oh my God. Holy God, it was eating the snake is eating a baby woodpecker. That's the problem.
Man.
Oh, this is horrible.
That's
this
why
is horrible.
The snake, the bird
this
is mom.
That's
That's a terrible
right.
video. The
coming
bird's
back.
mom.
It's over, though. The snake is already...
this is horrific. Go to commercial.
I think she's crying. Oh, God, there's a close-up of the snake. Bad snake. Bad snake.
I can't watch it.
He opens his mouth with a feather sticking out of his mouth.
Stop it. Go to commercial.
Ah, jeez. This is horrible. Never send me another one like that.
Horrifying!
Payday! Payday! It is payday!
Still on.
We wanted the woodpecker to win.
Hacking it.
Of course.
Don Batard.
You and I probably define fat slightly differently. I'm someone who sees myself naked on the regular, and I don't consider myself fat.
Most would.
Stugotz.
You think most people would consider me fat? Yeah.
People are very judgmental. Most people would consider me fat as well.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This show is not itself today. Greg Cote and Stugotz just spent the entire break talking about how to fly out of town in the case of an emergency and when they have to get out of here, because this storm is gathering strength in a way that is terrifying, because it's a Category 6 if there were such a thing. Nobody's ever seen anything this strong headed directly this way, and so we are not ourselves today. But I don't know that I have an explanation for why last segment Mike Ryan's judgment was so awful. I've been terrible today. Greg Cote is usually terrible on Tuesdays. Stugotz is all over the place. But for Mike Ryan to choose on this particular day a video of a woodpecker getting her young eaten by a snake is such horrifically bad judgment. Like, you need the woodpecker to win there. Nobody wants to see that on television, a mother losing her woodpecker children. Just horrific judgment by you. We can never show videos to Ron McGill that aren't a little more uplifting than that.
A couple weeks ago, the decision was made that this was Lorenzo's task, and it's been delegated to him.
Oh,
now
no.
I do have final
Can
say.
this guy
but
do anything?
It got
Lorenzo's
sent
having a
at
bad
10
day.
a.m. So
Lorenzo's having a bad day, man.
Is anyone having a good day around here? Anyone?
Has Lorenzo lost his commissionership yet? Because I know Charlie's angling in.
don't
He
get
wants
me
to be the
started.
commissioner of the fantasy league.
yeah, Charlie sent another email trying to start a renegade league, and this is the last thing that we need, more emails that
Do you
can
realize
confuse Greg Cote.
I'm the big winner here? You guys do realize this, right? As you guys all seem miserable headed into your fantasy experiences, and I'm the reigning champion, and never lifted a finger
Yep.
to do anything with. You realize
You are the big winner. You're on
it's-
auto draft regardless.
It's so hugely embarrassing to you guys. Getting back to a couple of things we were talking about earlier in the show, what do you have for us on Le'Veon Bell and Stephen A. Smith?
Le'Veon Bell tweeted out earlier, LOL, it's crazy how much of a hater you are at Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith responded, will you stop with your sensitive nonsense? I said you deserve your money and that you are big time. Deserve, all capitals, by the way, and that you are big time. What the hell do you want? A damn pedicure? That's what Stephen A., how he responded to Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon responded to Stephen A., and this is the last one, okay? I'm not certain if Stephen A. has fired back yet, but this is the last one that I have according to this story. LOL, I should have just never tweeted you. It's a waste of time because you don't even realize what you be saying, just up there speaking nonsense. Nonsense, 2 words. Nonsense.
I mean, I love both of the participants in this particular. I love the way both of these men handle their business. So Stephen A. Smith is reacting in a way I wouldn't react. I don't think that I want to start picking fights. It's the new thing. This is the new level of sports media superstardom, is when you get, it's the highest level, the category 6. It's the high is the gas bag that doesn't mind getting into feuds with the athletes because it's good for business,
Yeah,
and there's nothing to be afraid of.
And Stephen A's got to lead the league in that category, I would think.
Skip Bayless does some of it too. Yeah. But I'm saying that's the highest.
I wonder, though, do the athletes engage with Skip? I'm not saying that they don't. I don't know. I'm asking. Do they engage with Skip in a way that they engage with Stephen A.
Yes.
Smith?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's all. But these reactions are unusual, though. What Stephen A. Smith is doing back, this is a new form of sports media entertainment. This is not something that we've seen before social media. I mean, Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali had some of it, but the idea of one broadcaster receiving feuds and then not minding coming back at the athlete in a way that's like, hey, I'm your equal. I am your peer. People know me and respect me and my strength every bit as much as you. And in fact, I'm guessing Stephen A. Smith is coming into that particular conversation with, I'm better at this than you are at that, and I know how great you are at that.
Right.
Like,
I think it's fair to say yes. I think Stephen A. thinks he's better at what he does than anyone is at what they do.
I'm saying that anyone arrives to feud with Stephen A. Smith from the world of athletes, Stephen A. Smith is like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. And anybody, come bring it over here.
Yeah.
Because I am your equal.
I got that impression when he did that great profile of Floyd Mayweather. They were equal there to me. You know, Mayweather's a superstar, but so is Stephen A.
It's unusual, man.
Yeah.
It is really unusual. That's not something that we've had a lot of in the history of sports media.
That is interesting because I think the athletes view him as an equal.
Yes.
I think many of the athletes do view him as an equal. I had that same experience when I was watching him with Mayweather. Yeah.
Stature, power, yes.
Q rating.
I think that's one of the reasons that Stephen A. Smith sits down with Mayweather for that interview, that they're sort of kindred spirit.
Yeah. But with some of these feuds, like this latest one, I get a feeling it's sort of playful, even if it seems like it isn't.
That's not playful.
Oh,
what was playful about that?
I think it's playful, and I also think it benefits both sides. I think both sides like that give and
Le'Veon
take.
Bell calling Stephen A. Smith a hater was playful?
Yeah, I do.
There is a smiley face emoji in one of Stephen A. tweets. There is. There's a smiley face emoji at the end. A damn pedicure with a smiley face emoji. It's cute.
The Mayweather-McGregor scammer who made his way from the cheap seats to the celebrity seats is next.
Don Batard.
Do you mind cleaning that up and tearing up papers and stuff when we're not on the air?
Stugotz.
I did it without really thinking. It was far from the mic. Didn't think it'd pick it up. As a kid, I used to make the sound of ripping paper. I used to delight my friends with that.
Mm-hmm.
No, so you can go like that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Yes or no, the Brock Osweiler thing feels like the kid who left home and failed and now is living with mommy again. Yes or no? Like had to come back home and just he's living in the garage.
Yes.
Congratulations to Brock Osweiler. Oliver Regis, as Stugotz mentioned, he did that thing at the Mayweather-McGregor fight. Cheap seats to great seats. He joins us now on ESPN Radio. Okay, what's your story, sir? Where are you from? How old you are? What do you do for a living?
Hey, how you doing? I'm 32 years old. I'm from a town called Stamford in the UK, like about an hour away from London, and I'm a barman.
All right, so you're a McGregor guy. So you go to the McGregor fight and you buy cheap seats, and what is your plan after that? Like, how do you do your next move? You've done this before?
Yeah, I've done it at a couple of big UFC events, and there's never enough celebrities to like sell the story. So yeah, I've done it a few times, man, at a couple of Conor McGregor fights.
And so how do you do it?
Well, normally what I do, I go to the floor, and then when the ticket guy is asking someone to see their ticket, I sneak behind the security and just zoom past, and then I get to the floor. But for this one, the security was single file, scanning tickets. The security was so much tighter. So I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So I always prepared to do it. I had my suit ready, ironed, and looking good to mingle with celebrities. And what I did, basically, I tried to get through with the same thing I used to do, and they caught me and they said, sir, go back up to your seats up there. You can't go through this way. So I went through the opposite way, and it was the same thing. I was like, oh my God, this is Mission Impossible. How the hell am I going to do this? So anyway, I see Floyd Mayweather's two security guards, the ones that Conor called turkeys, and I got right behind them, basically touching their butts. And as soon as they went through, I zoomed past security, and I was ringside. I was third row.
Wow.
Stugotz is proud of you. Stugotz
You're my hero, man.
Wow, Stugotz is beaming like at a scam well executed. Look at him. He's radiant. He's post-coital. Look at Stugotz. This is amazing. Stugotz is just marveling at your level of scammery. So you get down there, and who's the first person you sit next to?
Well, basically, I sat on the third row because this is before the Conor fight. This was the fight before, so it was pretty empty the first few rows. And then Mike Tyson entered the building. He was the seat behind me, so I had a better seat than I am Mike Tyson, man. So basically, people on pay-per-view in the UK were texting me saying, what the hell, you're sitting next to Mike Tyson? Next thing, LeBron James and his wife enter my row, and they're the seat next to me. So it's me, LeBron's wife, and then LeBron, the man himself.
Wait, this is an important question. Did they think you were a celebrity? Because you have to pay a lot of money to sit that close for that fight. Did they think you were some sort of celebrity?
They either thought I was some sort of celebrity or I was a man with a lot of dollar.
A man with a lot of dollar. Right, okay, so who's
well, they call me Ollie Dollar. That's my nickname, Ollie Dollar, baby.
Okay, so who...
I love you, Ollie Dollar.
I think you're awful. Whose seats were you in?
Well, anyway, so P. Diddy enters the building, and him and his security guard are walking towards my row, and I'm thinking, they just walked past me, and the security guard said, excuse me, sir, can I see your ticket? This is P. Diddy's seat. I'm like, oh, my God. I couldn't believe it. So they said, can we see your ticket? So I was like, yeah, my girlfriend's down there. She's got my ticket holder. I'll be back in 1 second. I haven't got a girlfriend. I was on my own. And by the way, ladies in Miami, when I'm back, I'm single and I'm ready to mingle.
There you go. This guy is Stugotz.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure I'm single when you get down to Miami.
Oh, God. All right. So,
South Beach Boys.
All right. Thank you. So who's the celebrity that was nicest to you?
The nicest one, I'd probably say the guy from the Marvel film Thor, Chris Hemsworth. He was really nice. And so was Jamie Foxx. He was a cool dude as well.
What celebrity were you most excited to see?
Most excited, I'd probably say it was Iron Mike Tyson, man, just because the history of his boxing. I've always been a fan of Iron Mike's, you know.
Yeah.
His response to the picture, when I get a picture, Mike, his mouth didn't move, his head just went up and down, yes. He's a scary dude.
Yeah, well, he's also used to that question. Can I get a picture, Mike? So he doesn't even waste breath on it. He just nods his head.
What celebrity was the rudest?
The rudest would have been LeBron James. He was not a nice guy. He was really rude, to be fair.
Okay, and so
'Cause,
what?
I mean,
I'm sorry.
sorry, you go. I was just about to say, LeBron and his wife came and sit next to me. So at the end of the day, if that was my legit seat, I'd have to sit next to LeBron the whole fight. So just to be a nice guy, you think he'd have said yes to a picture because he was sitting next to me all night. You know, it's not really a good first impression he gave to me.
I mean, really, dude?
I mean, you weren't supposed to be there. I understand what you're saying,
dude,
and I'm with you.
Like, dude, really? That's it. That's it right there. The entitlement of people around celebrity, there it is right there. Yes, LeBron should have been.
But LeBron doesn't know that I'm with him on this because LeBron doesn't know that he is snuck down here.
Right.
And so for all LeBron knows, there's a guy sitting next to him who's as rich and as powerful and as big a celebrity as he is.
But OJ knows. OJ knows that he's not supposed to be down there. So OJ knows that he's a total, complete fraud who's asking LeBron for a picture.
Please call him Ollie Dollar.
All right. Thank you, Ollie.
Know
We
who you're talking
appreciate
to.
Ollie Dollar. We appreciate you being on the show. Thank you for being on with us.
Yeah, man. Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
No.
I've got a friend who's from. He's lived in Miami most of his life. He passed away a couple of months ago. His name's John Johnson, Double J. He was a massive Heat fan. Massive Dolphin fan. I just want to give a shout out to him. He's a great friend of mine, and he passed away unexpectedly a couple of months ago, man. Miami guy, so just wanted to put that out there.
All right. I really regret saying no that you couldn't say that comedically right before you said it. All right.
That was very nice of you.
All right. Very awkward.
Yeah.
Look at me now. I'm getting paper.
What a guy. Seriously, what a guy.
How Stugotz is that, though?
really was.
Oh, no, but sneak next to LeBron James and then complain about how mean he was to you. It's just great.
He couldn't even pose for a selfie.
You couldn't pose. I'm a complete and utter fraud. Please treat me like you would treat someone who's totally authentic.
But he's kind of right, though, is he not? Because LeBron doesn't know what we know.
That's yes, he is right.
Thank you.
He is right.
LeBron's mean.
He is right that it would be better to sit next to someone for an entire fight to not deny them a selfie at the very start if you want that evening to be tension-free.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.